on. Well, hello everyone, this is Thealphaprogrammer, and welcome to your 8th Java programming tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're gonna learn about the form tag. Now, the form tag is those regular forms that you see on the internet, and a very common example would be, search tabs at the top. Where you can type in your search and then you choose a category and you press the search button. That is actually a form. It's not anything else, it's a form. Especially those that have one of those drop-down lists and then you hit either a radio button or a checkbox or anything like that. That's a form. Yeah, so you actually use them quite a bit if you either use Google or if you use other websites that you search it, like Amazon, eBay. When you search something, it is basically taking the form, taking the things from the form, and using it in its search query. So I'm going to show you how to make a basic form, not a huge search form, but a regular form where you enter your name, and then I'll also show you the other types of form elements. So let's get started. Now you need a base tag. Sorry about that. You need a base tag, and kind of like the table, you need form instead of table. So start form, end it form, end form, and in here you type in all your form tags. So every single one of your form tags are input. And it's a self-closing tag, so I just end that off. And in input, this is where you tell HTML what kind of input do you want to give in. So I'm going to show you how to make a regular field that you would enter in a search bar what you're searching, your query. So just do type equals text, and this is actually an attribute that you need, type, and you also need another attribute called name, and this basically will tell the next page that you're sending it to, because when you input, in case you remember, when you input a search bar, it takes you to a search page. So that's what we want. But how do they get that info, and how do they know which text field they're talking about? They get that from the name of the input element. So the name is very important when you want the receiver page to be able to receive and process the data. Now, I obviously already created a receiving page, because receiving pages are a bit tricky. You can't really use HTML in them. You need to use something called PHP, and that's why I already have that ready to go for you all. So in the name, just type in name, because we're going to get the name of the user, and now you're done. You basically created a input section where the user can input their name. I'm going to at the end show you how to submit and stuff, but now I'm going to just show you the fields that you have. So I'm just going to bring up this one, and now you see you have your text field, and that was just the code for this. When I ran it brought up this, and then we hit reload and it says hey. But this is a really boring form, in case you noticed, because it doesn't do anything. You just sit there and it doesn't do anything. So you want it to actually be able to do stuff. And again, like I said, I'll show you later. But now I'm going to show you the password field. This one is very common for accounts. If you're logged into your YouTube account, or any account actually, your email account, any account, you have most likely entered data into a password field, unless they're really crappy security, which they don't ask a password, and I would not know why they wouldn't do that. But anyways, the type is password. Very obvious. So just bring it up, hit reload, and as you can see, it's one of those password pages. It's one of those password fields where you type in all your passwords. You're either really long or 123 passwords, or your super duper long random passwords like habijabijabija. Either one works. So yeah. Now I'm gonna show you how to make radio buttons. And radio buttons are those buttons that you can only have a single selection of a long list. You know those? Remember? Yeah, those are normally used for search queries when they want you to limit a certain category. In order to do that, just do radio, and then hit save, bring up the index.html, and ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Now, radio buttons are normally have like 2 of them are there. So let's create another one saying name and N2. Hit save, bring it up, and as you can see, we have N1 and 2, and we can select the radio buttons. And it's so good when you have radio buttons because they're epic. And that's basically our radio buttons. Now these are both selected because of the fact that I haven't put them in something called a radio group. And what a radio group is it basically tells HTML in this section is a radio. These radios buttons are all in one group. Yeah. So in order to create a radio button group, you actually need to name them the same thing. Sorry, I just went off and checked. That's why you could only check. That's how you can make it so you only can check one of them. And by the way, if you're seeing this flashing thing randomly come up on my screen, that's just me switching between my windows really quickly, and I'm using Alt Tab in case you didn't know that. So now, as you can see, you can only select one of the radio buttons. Pretty cool, isn't it? Yep. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to show you the checkboxes. And the checkboxes are very simple. They're basically just multiple choices. And now, in order to see the multiple choices, just do check box. Not boss, check box. So check box, name it whatever you want, hit reload, and checkbox. Oh wow. Oh, so addicting to press that checkbox. So checkboxes are normally used somewhat like this. Checkboxes, you can actually just name them whatever you want. And hit save, and bring it up to you what you would probably see on a website. Boom, 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 boom. You would like select that, so it would be, for example, like what kind of clothes you want, like what color of clothes you want. So say you can search for multiple colors, like this one was red, this one was green, this one was blue, and this one was yellow. So you would check like red and yellow, and then you would leave green and blue blank because you don't like green and blue. Anyways, but those happen to be my favorite colors, green and blue, so I'm going to check mark those, and I would hit the submit button and do the search query. Now that we know every single input, now we're ready to get to the submit button. Now I'm going to show you a text field that just, text, and it has to be name, and then in here, just type in another input tag, input, self-close it, and for the type, set this equal to,